Well, we got over the hump and we had our first episode. And we got a chance to talk about our beginning. But before we do that, welcome everybody to another episode of Focal Conversations. Hey,
I'm getting there.
Hey, again, this is a podcast that we feel is pertinent towards your creative journey, like knowing where your journey begins and how you take the journey to go to where you think you belong as a creative. And I think these are good conversations. I think they're important conversations because it allows people to understand that there's a start, there's a little bit more of a start, a middle, and then you make traction to whatever journey you feel like you need to make as a creative.
Yeah, and to add to that, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to do this alone, you know? You don't have to do this alone. And we'll get to that point where we talk about how we work well together. I feel like a lot of people, even when I started, I thought I was alone. And I'll elaborate on that a little later. But, you know, you can build relationship, friendship, business partnership where the two of you can work together. And you'll get to learn the way we collaborate and help each other. So the point I'm trying to make, you don't have to do this alone. You just have to find the right person to trust.
And I think that's a good segue into what we're going to be talking about today is our journeys to get to where we started.
Since you've been in this industry longer than me, you go first. How did your photography journey start?
It's funny because I had a 9-to-5 prior to starting this journey. And it's one of those things where a lot of different things had to kind of work for me to get to where I needed to be. So I was doing a 9-to-5. I have been in the creative space for some time. And I had an opportunity to kind of take it a little bit further. I would say that photography was more like a hardcore hobby. It wasn't like something where I was like, oh, this is something I want to be as my career. I wanted to make sure that I was taking care of all of the things when it comes to family, when it comes to providing for family. So it was more so a hobby of sorts. But it was a hobby where I started kind of like by myself. I had a few friends who were involved, but they kind of like, again, it wasn't their 9-to-5. So we just got together here and there to create. But the actual journey was kind of like solo. And I think that portion of it, we'll talk about something later on in the journey of things. So when I had my youngest son, I realized, as a family, we realized that my son was on the spectrum. And I was like, hey, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to spend as much time as possible with him. I didn't know the window of opportunity. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to try to spend more time with him. At the same time, I got one of my most favorite and cool gigs. I was working with a football player by the name of Fletcher. And he had a nonprofit organization called London's Bridge. And basically I would go and I would take pictures of this group. And in one instance, we went to the Senate. And while there, one of the senators asked me, do you take pictures of black tie events? That's it.
Why not?
Well, I do today. So booked my first big client out of that. And then out of that spurred a lot of different things. And I was at a point where I was getting clients. And I was like, hey, I can actually do this. Let me try to cultivate this into something. Again, the journey was by myself. Yeah. I didn't have another photographer to be like, hey, you know, I was kind of involved in like small little groups here and there. But it wasn't business oriented. So I got to the point where I got enough nerve and I went to my wife. I said, hey, I want to do this full time because I want to be able to spend more time with our youngest and however that works. And that was hard in of itself because, you know, you go from knowing that you're going to have a paycheck from this to like
to not
having
knowing
to
when to expect
right. So all of that kind of came together, and man, I just was looking about almost 11 years later.
Wow.
11 years later, I'm still in the business. I'm thriving, made it past COVID. But that all comes about from an understanding that there were a lot of things that I had to do and adjust along the path. And we're going to talk about that.
You had to give up a lot.
Yeah. So let's talk about your start to your journey.
Well, that's a start. I don't know if mine is similar, but yes, I did start solo when I had my daughter, who is now 18, and my family's back home. So for those who don't know, I am from the beautiful island of St. Lucia. I migrated to St. Croix back in 2001. My sister will probably say that's a lie because it dates ourselves. We lived there for 4 years, and then I migrated to Maryland where I had my daughter. My family is all back home. It's just my twin sister and I here in the States. So I had the brilliant idea of, why don't I get a little point and shoot? I will take pictures of her, print, and mail it to St. Lucia. 90% of the time, the pictures didn't get there because it got lost in the U.S. Post Office system. But then I saw something in it. I saw, okay, I'm capturing memories that I can document. It's not just, okay, you're raising a child real life, but having the physical images to just go back and look at it. So I created a lot of photo books, and then I just got into this hobby of taking pictures. So I think then I transitioned into a DSLR, I believe. But that was, you know, the little Canon with the kit lens. And, I still didn't know how to use it. At the time, QVC was doing these 3 installment payment. I was like, okay, from the little Kodak, $89 Kodak to now, about $400 at the time?
Okay.
So I bought it, playing around with it. That's, I don't recall who advised me to get a flash. I did have a flash when you met me. So someone recommended that I got a flash.
Oh, we know you had a flash because
yeah,
if you didn't have a flash, we would have never met each other.
But yeah, I went from that to, I think I upgraded, slightly to something else. And then I saw the opportunity to take pictures at my daughter's school. Just volunteering, whatever activity that was going on. I was room parent at the time, so I documented every event, every activity that we had. If you know me, I get really involved with the kids, so I had to document it. And that's when, while I was doing that, I was referred from a parent, referred to a group that takes pictures. They mostly do video and weddings, right? So I made the connection. Here I am thinking, oh man, somebody's going to mentor me. Ooh. The journey, it started off well. It started off, okay, come shadow us. And I'm going to these different gigs like all over Baltimore. I finally got to the point where they're like, okay, you can second shoot at a wedding. But before that wedding, the recommendation was to buy I forgot what the lens was. It was a macro lens, knew nothing about it, wasn't taught how to use it. I was just told you need it for details. Unknowingly, they really wanted me to get the lens to capture details as the 3rd or 4th shooter during a wedding. So
you were part of like a little Ponzi scheme almost?
Yes, because we want you to come along the journey with us, but we want you to be dedicated to details. Yeah. So this is the lens you should get. Mind you, this is not a priority for me, right? No one had asked me, well, what are you into? What's your interest? What would you like to do in the next chapter of this journey? But yeah, so it was a ride. I got invited to weddings, and I'm like, yes, they're taking me along this journey. They have me in a wedding. It's 300 guests, a big old party in Baltimore. I'm all dressed up. I'm partying too, because if the music is on, Natasha is
that's
dancing.
one thing.
I don't care who it is.
You do like to party.
And then I got invited to probably 2 weddings, and I left. I'm like, oh wait, maybe they'll send me a little something afterwards. Not a dime till this day. And I got invited to a 4th, and that's when I wised up. I was like, no, well, we're not going to start with the unfiltered
no,
version
not yet. Not yet.
You know,
not yet.
I later on,
we got to ease people into that.
Later on realized, okay, I was taken advantage of, and I sort of gave up. But when the teacher approached me from episode 1 to do the How We Met episode, to do Vacation Bible School, you know, she and I, cool. She takes care of my daughter. We're still friends. It's Jordan Simisosha. If she's watching, asked me to do Vacation Bible School. I agreed to do it. And, you know, I met a real mentor. Although I wanted to kill him when he touched my flash, but
it was apparent.
You know,
it was apparent.
God knew I needed to keep him alive. Let me tell you, everything in life matters. I don't care how bad I looked at him. I don't care how bad his family felt I looked at him. But guess what? Everything in life is meant for a reason.
This is
all
true.
right?
This is true.
If he didn't have tough skin, he'd probably be like, "I'm not talking to this girl. How dare her looking at me like
that?" I definitely will say that. To kind of piggyback on there, like it's so many times is important with the type of people that you align yourself with when it comes to this journey. Yep. Because, you know, people can be advantageous in what they want, maybe not necessarily in a way that is nefarious or kind of coming at you. You know, sometimes people just want things for themselves. I heard the other day where it talks about, you know, sometimes people get caught in the dollar more than the emotion. And so sometimes the dollar can kind of sway some people's alignment with your creative journey. Yeah. And so I will say that I have been blessed to be the right personality, but I will say this, you are the right personality as well for me, because, you know, moving forward in my business journey, there were things within the business scope of things that I learned that was important for my journey. And so if we don't have these type of aligning personalities, it doesn't work. And we don't get to see more of our creative journey take place, you know?
Yeah, so the value that you see is not one-sided, which was my experience. The value was one-sided. No one saw the strength that they saw the strength I was bringing, but it was just to their advantage versus what does Natasha need to move along in this journey? Whereas you saw that. You saw my eagerness to learn, right? Yeah. Within days, you were on a shoot with me. You saw I'm a hands-on person. Right. So no matter how much you tell me, if you don't show me, I will not get it, right? And you take the time to actually acknowledge my learning skills. Yeah. You know, same thing with, you know, being part of your business. I see the need where, okay, I need to step in logistically. I need to get your brand on a t-shirt, right? So we both kind of get that value from each other. Yeah. And it's, and to those that are paying attention or hearing all of this is important when it comes to you figuring out who you align yourself with. And I think that's, you know, not to go too far ahead in our journey, that's something that's important with the community that we're a part of. You know, one of the things that I love that we make sure of every single time we position ourselves for our community to have an experience is that they have takeaways where they learn. Yeah. And there's a patience and there's a curation of it with every single meet. And, you know, for us to give you guys a better insight on these focal conversations, we have to make sure that we're taking the time to let you guys see, like, hey, it's okay to be patient. It's okay to want to teach. It's okay to not know, because if you have the right community with you, you can learn, you can grow, and your journey takes off, you know? Yeah. And it's okay to find the strength in the person you're working with, right? I know Mike's strength and he knows mine. So if we meet a new client or a new community member, we kind of rely on each other's strength to bring that forward. I don't try to be what Mike does versus Mike trying to be what I do, right? You know, we find the right balance. We know the strengths that we bring, and bringing it together, right, makes the story even stronger. It makes that, you know, that client come back to us because they know as a duo we have our strengths, but together it's stronger. And the thing I really like that you just said now is that
you harp on strengths. You don't try to exploit people's weaknesses.
No.
Because when you're exploiting strength, you allow for there to be an openness for more strength to take place. Yeah. I think a lot of times people like to harp on people's weaknesses. One of the things that we talk about in our Discord, we have critiques, right? And we try to change the mindset of what a critique has been. A critique traditionally has been like, oh, we destroy it and then we build you up.
No.
But I don't subscribe to that. And one of the things that you just said is harping on strengths, positioning yourselves to be more positive in your approach to, the people that you align with in your creative journey only helps you to grow more. You
Absolutely.
shouldn't have to feel weak in the process.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's just going to cause you to recoil. I mean, a lot of creatives at the end of the day are not extroverts.
Yeah.
They're not extroverts. So it may look like we're like, hey, rah, 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 but there is solace in us just being with ourselves, with our art. And when you're having someone just tearing that apart, like you said, it almost caused you to just not be a part of your journey.
Yep.
And, the blessing is that our paths align, and it was the strengths and the always being there for each other for those aspects that help elevate our creative path. So
absolutely, yeah, it's the only way a partnership can work.
Absolutely. So, man, so looking back on your journey, do you feel like as from then to now, it's been worth it?
Absolutely. And I felt that we attended Image in USA, and I saw the people that I used to work with, and I had this overwhelming feeling. If you know me well, I'm not satisfied. I'm never satisfied until I get my lick back. However you want to take that, you do something to me, I'm going to hold on to it. Yes. I'm always going to sit until I do something in return to say, okay, now I'm satisfied. I can let you go. This forgive now, forget. No. And when I saw the individual and I was with you and a group of other people, I had to just take a step back and realize how far I've gotten. Without them, I would have never gotten there. So I made sure my leak back was, you're going to see me. I'm at a conference. I'm at a photography conference with my mentor, with other photographers. Guess what? But by that time, I was already getting clients. Not only you helped with my sister, you helped build my business. I thought this was just going to be a hobby. I will be shooting my sister. But at that point, a few years later, I'm attending a photography conference, something I didn't see in my future. So, and
that too was, I think that too was important to our origin with things, because I was, quote unquote, a seasoned photographer at the point where I met you. And then we literally went to a conference for the first time at my stage and at your stage. And I felt like that conference propelled both of us.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that later, the importance of going to conferences and going to things of that nature. But it caused us to see that, hey, no matter where we are on this journey, there are things that can help bolster us.
Yes.
To the point where we are thriving in our creative journey, So just things like that. Again, us understanding like this is a strength that we need to take advantage of, not exploiting a weakness.
Nope.
And doing that kind of like elevated our journey as well.
Yeah, I think in life you'll never be able to get anywhere if you exploit your weakness. There are times I want to give up. I grew up poor. I grew up a tough life. And there are situations where I'm like, I don't give an F. I'm about to be done. But the next day I wake up and I realize, okay, well, you can't be done, right? Quitting is not the answer. It's what you do because of that failure that you had. Gotta get your ass up. Gotta keep it moving, Natasha. You have priorities. You're raising a daughter. What do you mean you want to quit? So I tend to exploit people's strength. I will see the weakness. Now, if you piss me off, I'll call it out. If you maintain that relationship, that kindness, I see you hungry for something, I will help you with your strength. And I think my approach will help you fix that weakness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of how you collaborate with that partner, and you know.
And for me, it's a little bit different because I'm a very jovial individual, but I'm also a faith believer, right? So I grew up in the church. I'm a pastor's kid, and one of the things that truly I subscribed to and made me realize that being a creative was so important was that God was the first creative. He created the heavens and the earth, and he molded things into his image. And it really made me just think like, man, if God is the greatest of creators, why can't I, as a representative of his creation, allow others to see a positive light for other people's creative journey to grow?
Yeah.
So it's two different approaches, but they're necessary sometimes, especially like I said, finding your village, finding your people, finding those people that align with you.
True people.
Yes.
Oh man, that's another topic, because somebody with his jovial self think he got true people, and that's one of the things. If I am your true friend, I see the others that are not, and I will tell you, and I will caution you.
And that's again, that's another thing with having the people in you, because I will say my weakness that has never been exploited by you, but something that you protect from a business standpoint is I see the good in everyone.
Everybody.
In everyone. And that's never going to stop. That's never going to stop. No. But as a business partner,
I come in and I said, no, that's not going to work for you.
That's not going to work for our brand. That's not going to, our overhead. So it's really good to have that be not explaining like what quote unquote weakness is, but saying, okay, this is the strength that we're going to kind of push for. So that's one of the things that I appreciate. And one of the things that I encourage you all when you're looking to align yourself, like we say, with your people, your village, your business, your partners, because at some point you're going to have to expand.
Absolutely.
You got to expand.
Absolutely.
And you can't do it by yourself. So having the right people in your corner that see that.
But every bad relationship is not that bad. Sometimes you need that bad relationship. Sometimes you need that bad relationship to navigate your way out of situations.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a life lesson. Like you said, you believe in God. So you take on every stray.
You can't talk. You have way more. You have a whole collection.
But I have limitations. I set boundaries. It takes a lot for you to be my friend. A lot. Yeah. Even when he says, oh, your friend. Who? Your acquaintance. But, sometimes God put this relationship in our lives for us to understand what works and what doesn't work for you.
Right.
Right. So if it's something you want to explore and, then further along you realize it doesn't work, you got to get out of it.
Absolutely.
You got to get out of it. And if he's taking too long to get out of it, I pull him out of it. Let's go. We're going to do this together. You're not going down alone, or we're not going down together, right? The goal is to rise up, whether, and we'll always rise up together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things too is really dope about it all is it's not just a business partnership or a business path relationship that I've acquired with you. Our families are involved. Yes. We go on trips together. We celebrate together. And so it allows us to see not only the spectrum of business, but it also allows us to understand what's important behind the business, why we're pushing for our freedom within our creativity, but the freedom within our business as well. So
I don't think small business partnership can work if you don't know the context, the family dynamic of the person, right? I think you have to friendship. Yeah. I like the way we started. We started as friends, right? And then we grew into that. I got to know your family, you got to know mine. And then it's an ongoing thing. It's not like, okay, now we're in business, I stop dealing with your family. Right. No. I show up when I need to. You show up when you need to for me. So it's a family business dynamic.
Yeah. And that's the added joy of it all, because we understand what makes sense at the end of the day, and it helps scheduling wise too, because
I'll be like, you sure you can do this? You sure you don't have anything going on over here? Same thing with me. You sure you don't have to take your daughter anywhere? So we kind of bounce and we check in on the things that are important in each other's lives before we even make decisions. Even for the community, before we take on something for the community, we got to make sure the family comes first. Or, can we take it on?
So I think the key takeaways in this conversation today is, one, balance, making sure that you have people in your world that provide a level of balance, but also there's a level of safety that occurs when you can be in a space or be around individuals where you can just be vulnerable enough to know more, because there's a vulnerability with learning.
Oh, yes.
There's a vulnerability. Because nobody wants to be like, I don't know.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. But to be in a position where someone says, okay, you know what? I see where you can grow in this. Let me lend this to you. Or let me show you this. So balance in understanding that you can be safe while being vulnerable in this creative journey is important. Any other takeaways? For
me, it's no matter what you go through, if this is something you want, you will have challenges. Don't give up. I didn't give up. Had I given up, I probably would not have met you as a mentor, right? Don't give up. Sometimes it's just taking a different path, right? I gave up. I wasn't even shooting my daughter when this whole this happened. But because the teacher approached me and asked me to shoot Vacation Bible School, I pick up my camera and here I am in a church shooting and, flashing kids in their faces. So don't give up. Maybe pause, rethink it. Okay, well, you took advantage of me. Okay, let me just, take a different path. So key takeaways, never give up. Just take a different path.
I agree. I think this has been a really good conversation. And again, it's a foundation that has allowed us to be where we are now as a business, as creatives,
absolutely,
and as community leaders. But there's more to all of this.
There's more to all of it. This journey has taught me to give back, right? You help me and then I can lend a hand to someone else. I probably can't lend it as much as you do to me because those lights set up and all that, I'm not doing that. But if you have questions, you can always come to me. I try to give back as much as I can, and it shows with the community how much we put forth. So yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we thank you guys for being a part of another focal conversation.
How it all started.
Man, boy, it took me back. I was like, man, that did happen. That did happen.
Yeah.
So, but again, guys, thank you. Hopefully there are things within these conversations that you guys have as takeaways. I know how important it is to have a person like Natasha in my creative journey and in my business world. Find your people and cultivate proper balanced relationships.
Keyword.
That allow you to grow within your creative journey. And we'll have these conversations, and we're looking forward to some of your input later on down the line so that we can...
we're sharing a lot. Keeping it raw.
All right, guys. Well,
and I've been good.
Yes.
I've been so good.
Well, I think we had one cuss. Cuss, yeah.
The asshole. You asked me how it started, right?
I'm gonna let it stay. I'm gonna let it stay.
But assholes are not always bad,
All right, guys. Again, thank you guys for being a part of Focal Conversations that are important to the path of your creative journey. I'm Michael Edwards.
I'm Natasha. Wow. Do we have to say our government name?
Yeah, why not?
I am Natasha Henry.
We thank you guys for listening with us. We'll talk to you guys later.
That's my government name, by the way.
Okay, guys. Bye, guys.